Martell Holt isn't just going through a messy breakup anymore. He's in the middle of a full-on battle for control. And this fight isn't only about custody of the kids, it's grown into something much darker, something fans are beginning to recognize as manipulation disguised as co-parenting. For years, Martell has tried to rewrite the story. He's painted himself as misunderstood, a victim of bad circumstances, even a father unfairly judged. But now, people are paying closer attention. The image they're seeing isn't flattering at all, it's troubling. Let's go back to what the court said. After all the endless back and forth between Martell and Melody Shari, a judge made things crystal clear: Martell needed counseling and a full psychological evaluation. That order came down 2 years ago. 2 whole years. And what did Martell do? He ignored it completely. He acted like the judge was making suggestions, not giving him legally binding orders. Meanwhile, Melody has been following every rule, every requirement, even when it cost her peace of mind. She's done things by the book because she knows one wrong move could be used against her. The imbalance is shocking. And here's the thing: if the roles had been reversed, if Melody had ignored a court-ordered psych evaluation for 2 years, let's be honest, she would have been in serious legal trouble. She could have lost custody, faced fines, or worse. That's what's got fans so outraged. Not just that Martell disrespected the court, but that he keeps getting away with it. People are frustrated with the double standards. Why is Melody expected to be perfect while Martell gets endless chances? And Martell isn't even hiding his behavior. He's posting on social media, doing interviews, playing the victim, all while dragging Melody through the mud. He paints himself as the wounded father, yet his actions keep showing something completely different. Now let's talk about the children, because this is where things cut the deepest. Martell isn't just trying to be a present father. He's using his kids as leverage. On Instagram, he'll post smiling pictures with his son from his relationship with Ariane Curry, the woman who was at the center of his marriage ending. But when it comes to the children he shares with Melody, suddenly he enforces strict rules about what can and cannot be posted. That's not about protecting the kids. That's about controlling the narrative. The pattern is clear: the kids are pawns in a much bigger game of ego. That ego shows up every time Martell files another court appeal. Remember, he already lost. The judge ruled against him. He even admitted on camera that he sent inappropriate messages he wasn't supposed to. Yet here he is, still appealing, still fighting rulings that have already been decided. Why? Because by dragging out the legal process, he keeps Melody tied to him. He keeps her stuck in courtrooms, stuck in stress, stuck in chaos. It's not about winning custody. It's about making sure Melody never fully moves forward. And here's the heartbreaking part: the children are old enough now to understand what's going on. They're not babies anymore. They hear the arguments. They see the social media posts. They feel the tension. While Martell might think he's proving a point, what he's really doing is teaching his children how to be spiteful and vindictive. That's the legacy he's building. Meanwhile, Melody has stayed steady. Quiet. Focused. She's not out here trying to prove anything to the world. She's working on her business, showing up for her children, and handling things privately. And that contrast, Martell's loud chaos versus Melody's calm consistency, is becoming impossible to ignore. Fans see it. They feel it. And that's why more and more people are standing behind Melody. But we can't talk about this without mentioning Ariane Curry. For years she was the other woman, the one who knowingly stepped into Melody and Martell's marriage. Now, she's been embraced by Martell like nothing ever happened. He parades her around publicly, acting like their history doesn't matter. But imagine if Melody had done the same, if she introduced someone who had publicly disrespected Martell into her children's lives. The internet would explode. Martell would be screaming from the rooftops. The hypocrisy is loud, and fans are done ignoring it. Martell's obsession with control has reached a dangerous level. Every move he makes feels calculated, not just to upset Melody, but to create chaos for everyone around him. And the most concerning part? He doesn't seem to care. The court can hand down orders. His fans can beg him to do better. But Martell isn't listening. He's playing a long game, and that game isn't about healing, it's about holding power. You'd think after everything that's happened, he would try to shift gears. Try to show growth. Try to be the bigger person. But instead, Martell doubles down on defiance. The endless appeals. The shade on social media. The interviews where he paints himself as a victim. None of it is about resolution. It's all about control. And here's the truth, control is the one thing Martell is losing fastest. He can't spin the story anymore. Not when the public is finally connecting the dots. In the early days, the internet was split. Some people gave Martell the benefit of the doubt. They said he was just heartbroken. That he made mistakes but was still a good man. But those days are gone. The comments have shifted. Now people are calling out his patterns. They see how he's weaponized the court system to keep Melody tethered to him. It's not giving father who loves his kids. It's giving man obsessed with keeping power. It's giving sabotage. And most importantly, it's not a good look for someone who claims to care so deeply about his children. Let's talk about that father angle. Martell loves to say how much he loves his kids. And maybe on some level, that's true. But love without accountability is just talk. What kind of father ignores court-ordered counseling for 2 years? What kind of father uses his children as bargaining chips in a custody fight? A real dad would put his ego aside and do what's best for his kids. But Martell keeps choosing spite over stability. That's not love. That's control pretending to be concern. And he's not doing this in silence either. His social media is a stage. One day he posts Bible verses, the next day he's throwing shade at Melody with cryptic captions. He paints himself as misunderstood while pulling strings behind the scenes to keep Melody under stress. It's emotional warfare. And the internet is finally calling it what it is. The mask is slipping. And what's underneath isn't pretty. Meanwhile, Melody keeps moving forward. She's not just surviving, she's thriving. Her businesses are flourishing. Her fan base is solid. Most importantly, she's showing up for her children in ways Martell refuses to. She doesn't need to blast him online. Her actions speak louder than words. And fans respect that. Martell had a chance to be different. He could have followed the court's orders, focused on co-parenting, and rebuilt his reputation with time. But he didn't want peace. He wanted control. He wanted to win even if the only prize left is another courtroom argument nobody asked for. And at this point, it's not just Melody who suffers. It's the kids. The very people Martell claims to love most. People are wide awake now. They're no longer distracted by his excuses. They see him for who he is, a man who refuses to let go, and a woman who refuses to fold. And in that contrast, Martell is exposing himself not through Melody's words, but through his own actions. The sad truth is that Martell's behavior is starting to echo the same cycles we've seen from other public figures who crave control more than peace. He's resisting accountability at every turn. But energy like that always burns out. At some point, people stop listening to excuses and start demanding accountability. That's where this story is heading. Fans are louder than ever. They're asking the tough questions. Why is Martell allowed to ignore court orders? Why does he keep dragging out custody battles without consequences? Why is Melody forced to be perfect just to be treated half as fairly? The pressure is growing, and it's coming from the same people who once defended him. This was never just about a man wanting to see his kids. This is about a man using the legal system to keep control over a woman who already walked away. Melody isn't fighting for revenge. She's fighting to breathe. Fighting to raise her children without chaos showing up at her door every few months. But Martell doesn't want peace. Because peace means closure. And closure means he can't pull the strings anymore. Every appeal, every social media jab, every refusal to follow the law, it's all part of the same pattern. He wants Melody stuck. But here's the truth, Melody isn't stuck anymore. She's tired. Tired of shielding her kids from a storm she didn't create. Tired of pretending this is a two-sided war. It's not. One parent is healing. The other is holding a grudge. And the saddest part? Martell doesn't realize that the people who will hold him accountable aren't judges or fans, it's his children. They'll remember. They'll remember who showed up and who used them as pawns. They'll remember which home felt safe and which one felt chaotic. They'll remember. It's not too late for Martell to change. He could stop the appeals. He could finally comply with the court's orders. He could sit in counseling and actually do the work, not for the cameras, not for clout, but for his kids. Because the road he's on now only leads to more destruction, more delays, more damage. This never had to be a war. Two people could have gone their separate ways and built healthier homes for their children. But Martell turned co-parenting into combat. And the ones losing most are the kids, watching it all play out from the back seat. If Martell doesn't change course, the consequences won't just come from the court system or the internet. They'll come from inside his own home, from the silence of his children, from the loss of their trust, from the very legacy he claims to care about. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who wins the argument. It's about who shows up when it matters. And right now, the world is watching to see if Martell will ever figure that out. At the end of the day, this entire situation has become bigger than court filings, social media posts, or even public opinion. What we're really looking at is a man who refuses to let go, and a woman who refuses to break. Martell has turned what should have been a co-parenting journey into a battlefield, where every move feels like a strike and every silence feels like a strategy. But here's the truth, Melody isn't at war anymore. She's not fighting for control, she's fighting for peace. She's fighting for the kind of stability her kids deserve, a stability that doesn't come with court dates and online shade. And in choosing that path, she's quietly winning. Not in the courtroom, not on Instagram, but in the everyday moments where her children see a mother who keeps showing up. Martell, on the other hand, is running out of time. His pattern of defiance, control, and manipulation may feel powerful in the short term, but the long-term cost is heavy. Because one day, his children will grow old enough to see things clearly. They won't remember every argument, but they'll remember the feeling of chaos versus the feeling of peace. They'll know who chose love and who chose control. So maybe the real question isn't about custody or court orders anymore. Maybe the question is about legacy. What story does Martell want his children to tell about him? Because right now, that story is being written in ways he can't erase. And unless he changes, the very people he claims to fight for will be the ones who hold him accountable.